Okay, what's happening? Today we're doing lab exercise 11, Introduction to Cascading Style Sheets. So, Cascading Style Sheets, or CSS, is a complement to HTML that allows reuse of style tags and style elements. Basically, if you have a bunch of different pages that you want to format the same way, that is, having paragraph text appear a certain way, or having a certain background color or header image, stuff like that, CSS can help you with all of that. Big reasons why you use CSS. Number one, you can make style changes in one place and then reuse them across a bunch of different web pages. So it's nice for that. The other, of course, is having done that, it makes it a lot less likely that you're going to have errors. If you only have to change things in one place, right, not only is it faster to do that, it's also less error prone. If there's no error in your original CSS document, the transitions are the carrying forward of the styles are going to work the same way. You don't have to type it in manually for every different web page. And last, what you can also use it for, it provides a convenient way of reusing media content. So anytime you go to a website like Amazon or UIC or eBay, whatever, that uses the same format on many different pages of that site, CSS is an easy way to, number one, have your browser capture those images, whatever is for the background or the header image, the styles, whatever, store it in your temporary browser files, and then reuse it as long as it needs to, right? Rather than having to download every page's complete graphical setup from scratch, which would make web pages load a lot slower. Okay. Anyway, there are three different ways that you can implement CSS. Number one, external. That's the most common way, where there's a style sheet document, separate document, and you use the styles from that document applied to a web page. So we'll eventually do that in today's exercise. Another one is internal. Internal is something that you put near the start of your HTML document, listing a bunch of different HTML tags and how they're going to appear. That makes everything appear uniform throughout that document. The third one is inline. So inline is a way of overriding existing styles. So if you have a bunch of different web pages that you all want the same format, you use external for that. If you have one page that has many different repetitions of the same tag and you want all of those tags to appear the same way, you'd use the internal type of CSS. But if you have a web page where there's already some style received through external or through internal, and you want to override part of that, then you would use the inline. And in inline, you put a style tag within the actual body of the HTML document. Okay, so we'll demo all of those before we're done. So the first thing we're going to do is lift this code here, this HTML code, and we can type it into our online editor. So here I'm using the W3 Schools Try It editor, which is a pretty good one, but if you want to use a different one, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type this in. Ugh. You'll notice in the exercise, by the way, it says the green text. Well, it's not actually green. It used to be green once upon a time, but when we changed to this, I didn't catch that during the editing process. So, don't worry, it's not green. It used to be green. Okay, and we click run, and it should all appear correctly. So we have an H1 tag with some big text, we have a paragraph tag, and we have something outside a paragraph. Okay, so that's our starting format. Now, first thing we're going to do is put a style tag in the head of our document. Okay, so we have this head tag here. All this style tag code we're going to place in there. Okay, so style, and do the bottom part, style, and then in between we have H1, color, red, font weight, bold, text align, center, center. Okay, and then for paragraph tag, color blue, text align left. Okay, So the basic format within a style tag, the syntax is the type of tag you have. So this will specify how an H1 tag is going to appear. And then within these squiggly brackets, right, which by the way, should be near the backspace key, right, to the right of the P on a conventional keyboard, lists the different attributes. So for example, the color of the H1 text will be red, the font weight, it'll be bold, text align, it'll be centered. Okay, and each one of those things, even if it's at the very end, has to be closed out with a semicolon, otherwise it's not going to work right. Likewise, you have a paragraph tag. Okay, paragraph tag here, color of that text is going to be blue and it's going to be aligned to the left. Okay, so if you've done all this correctly, make sure you have all those semicolons where you need, and make sure closed out the style tag. You probably need that. Click run, and ta-da, right? Our H1 tag, our header tag is centered, which is great. And our other tag is aligned left, our paragraph tag. And the text outside the paragraph is not affected. It's still in the standard, black format. Okay, so on page, what is that? Page 98, there's a bunch of different properties that are listed. This is only the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole bunch of different ones. You can look them up various places online. But for example, you can change things like color, and color you can either do with words or you can do with 6-digit hexadecimal codes for RGB colors, red, green, and blue. For example, a pound symbol and 6 zeros is going to be black, and a pound symbol followed by 6 Fs is going to be white. So each of those pairs of numbers, right, 00 or FF, is a hexadecimal number. In the case of 00, it means 0. In the case of FF, that means 255, the highest color. So basically, it's a brightness thing, right? Like with the colors of the rainbow, if you blend them all together, you end up with white light. And if you take all the luminance away from the light, if there is no light, then it becomes black, right? Darkness. Anyway, other things like text alignment or font family or font weight, font size, font style. Okay, text align, center, right, left, justified to kind of pack the line. Font family is the font itself, right? So Arial or Times New Roman, things like that. Font weight is where you'd set up bold or light. Font size, how big it is, and you can do words like from extra large to extra small, or you can do absolute sizes in pixels or points, right? PX or PT. And font style could be normal or italic or oblique, right? If you leave it as normal, then that's not going to change anything unless you're overriding another style. Okay, so let's do a couple actions here. So in the internal CSS style tag, set the H1 component style to be green, italicized, Cambria, 36-point text, centered, and not bold. Oof, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's start off. We're going to change it to be green. All right, green is an easy one. If we wanted to, we could also do $00FF00, which would be a very bright green because G is the second of the RGB trio. What else? Italicized, right? So italics, that's in font style. So I'm going to add one there. Font style italic. Okay. Let's see. Cambria. Okay. So great. Font family. Cambria. Okay. 36 points. So font size. Oop. 36 point. And centered, that will be text align. Where's my text align? Center, good. So that's still there. And not bold. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this font weight entry. Okay. And the second one, paragraph component style Verdana. Okay, so I'm going to do font family Verdana. Doesn't matter the order of these attributes, so you can do them however. Okay, color dark gray. So I'm going to do that with the RGB code. So C1 for all of them. Whoop, C1, C1, C1. Okay, let's see. Size large. So font size large. Normal weight and style, so I don't have to do anything with that. And then aligned right. Okay, and we'll just leave that. So let's see how that looks. Let's run it, see if, whoop, get rid of that extra T and run this. Boom, there it is. And we could see, hey, yeah, this is big. This is, this is what? Cambria. It's italics. It's obviously green. It's centered. This is a little bit bigger than the regular text. You can just look at and see, yep, that's a little bit bigger. It's dark gray, and the font size, I don't know if that's dark gray. I would say dark gray is probably more like, what, 3131. Let's do that instead. Okay, but the exercise says what it says, whatever. Okay. Okay, that's closer to black. All right. We'll put it back to where it was. We'll do what the exercise says. Okay, but anyway, you can obviously see it's, tipped to the right. Okay. Now, second thing, inline CSS. Okay, so inline CSS overrides an existing style you might have. So let's see what we can do. The actions between the tags body and H1, enter another H1 tag that overrides style to blue color and courier font. Okay, so right here at this missing line here, do H1, and we'll just put in the style entry. Style equals font family, courier, and color blue. Okay, whoop. Make sure you have the quotes to close that out, and we'll put in some text. This is blue, okay, and close it out, H1. Also, we'll do a P tag at the end with the text, override this text format, okay, at the end of the body. So, where are we doing there? P tag, and we'll do the style, and we'll just do color orange, okay, and that's all we got to do. So let's put in the text there, override this text format, and close out the paragraph tag. All right, so let's run this, see if I did it all correctly. Okay, great. Okay, so the top, where it doesn't have something overriding it, it's just going to go with the default, right? So it still looks at the style tag for H1. For example, it gets things like italics, it gets things like 36 point size. But what it overrides, the font family is clearly different, right? It's not Verdana, it's not Cambria, it's Courier, which is, uniform spacing per character. Obviously, it's also blue, so that's a different color instead of green. Likewise with the paragraph tag, right? It still takes the attributes that weren't there, that weren't overridden. So for example, it's still large, it's still aligned to the right, but I changed the color. Color is now orange. Okay, so that's showing that this inline CSS overrides the existing style. All right, so now we're going to do some stuff with CSS. So should probably save this. Let's save this. I thought it said to, but maybe it didn't. All right, we're going to copy this. I'm going to save it as, let's see, I already have this here. I did it earlier. So I'm going to save this as what? LX11 part 1. And I'll save it as an HTML file. So .html. All files, okay. Alrighty, so I don't need that anymore. Now the second part, we're going to do some external CSS, right? So what we have here, our first initial text, so I'm just leaving this as the same stuff we had before. And now in the head tag, we're going to put a green link tag, right? So what's here used to be green, not green anymore. I'm going to enter in that text. Okay, and what we're going to do here is link rel equals style sheet, type equals text/CSS, and href equals style1.css. Okay, and close out that tag. So what this link says is, hey, here's the CSS document. All right, this is the thing, is it's going to be a style sheet, it's going to be standard text or CSS type, and the href is the link itself. So href stands for hyperlink reference, basically telling this HTML document where to find it. And same as we did in the exercise last week, since there's no folder mention here, we can just assume, the document is going to look for this in the same folder. In fact, right, I look in here, here's where all my folders are. This is my LX11 folder. It's right there. Okay. So here we have this stuff. Okay, so what are we doing? New folder. This we're going to save as lx.html, which I already have. I'm going to save it anyway. I'm going to save that. Ta-da. And then I'm going to do a new one, call it style1 .css when you get to save it. Oh, and that's some old stuff. So here's what we have, right? This is all the text here. Body, font families, courier, background. Oh, we had background image. I got to override that. Background image, URL, and background.jpg. Okay, text align center, color green. Okay, so again, make sure every one of these elements has a semicolon at the end. Make sure you've typed it exactly, because if it's not typed exactly, things could go very wrong. Anyway, save this as style1, right? So if we're doing this, do a style1 dot CSS and as all files, and you can save it. And here it's going to ask me, do you want to replace it? And yeah, I do. Okay. So now we've done this, we can go ahead and open up this file, LX11, open it up in your browser. Ta-da! And there it is, right? So what I have here, the font family, it's Courier. Once again, you can see it's all, same size. Color is going to be green. It's aligned to center. And the background image is this. This is my background image, right? So I'm using that. Let's close that out. And it just, sprinkles it across the background of the page. Okay. Now, we can do some extra actions on this. Let's do them. So editing the CSS document style1, we can replace that background image line with background color pink. Okay, so background image, we're getting rid of that. We're going to change it to background color and set it to pink. Okay, and the H1 tags font family can be Garamond. Ooh, that's fun. Let's do that. Okay, so here, right, so body is for the entire document body, but we're going to give it an H1 style as well. So we'll call this font family Garamond. Okay, and let's see. Okay, leave that. And internal CSS style tag to HLX11, set all the text in paragraph tags to appear in bold and italics. Okay, so we're going to do internal, so that goes in the head here. Okay, so after, so this link, this is going to grab and apply the main style to everything. And then afterwards, right, after it does that, we're going to do a style tag like we did before. Close out the style tag. And then H1, okay, and we'll do what? Font weight is going to be bold, and font style will be italic. Okay, and we'll close that out. Okay, so let's save that. And let's see how our document appears. Hopefully it's going to auto refresh. Let's see. No, got to refresh it. Got to refresh our style1 too, perhaps. Okay, let's close those both out. Sometimes there can be these issues with refreshing. I hope it has Garamond in there. There we go. All right, so again, if your stuff doesn't appear right away, sometimes you just need to refresh the page. Don't panic about that. Okay, so again, closing out the page, making sure you've saved everything again, and then try reopening the page tends to fix these things. Okay, so that's the way that should look. And then last stuff, we're going to include a banner image. Okay, we're going to include a banner image at the top of each page with a height of 88 pixels. So I'm going to put this up here at the top. I'm going to put this header. Okay, so anytime there's a header tag in your document, we're going to have these attributes. So it'll be height, 88 pixels, and background image going to be, oh, by the way, I didn't mention it till now, but you should lift those two files from Blackboard, right? So if you go to Blackboard, you'll see the two banner and background. You should download those into the same folder wherever your code is. Okay, background, banner, and those should be in the same folder, and that's how those appear. Okay, background image URL and banner.jpg. Okay, so what this is going to do is, just like these specify how a body tag will appear if there is one, and this one specifies how an H1 tag will appear if there is one. Well, this specifies how the header is going to appear if there is one. Now, in our original document, we don't have that, right? We don't have a header, so we have to include one in our LX11. So let's put a header here. After the head should be above the body, but the header is like corresponding part to the footer, which we don't have. But here I'm including a header tag. There's nothing in it, Okay, but the CSS is going to be applied to it. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save this. And now let's go ahead and try to open it, see if it works. Hey, there we go. We got our banner image. Yay. Okay, so hopefully you can understand this, you can apply it, you'll be able to successfully complete, the relevant parts of the assignment. Okay. So, hope that's all good. Thank you for your attention. We'll see you some other time.